This is the NOSTR alert. Civil defense information will be broadcast at 6:40.
West of the Rockies, you're on the air. Hello.
Y2K, how can we prepare?
Stop a few of their machines and radios. Throw them into darkness for a few hours.
We are fighting for our lives. My family must survive.
For 5 years, 1,000 gallons of gas, air filtration, water filtration.
Coming at you from the frozen tundra that is East Central Alberta, Canada, streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Rumble, and Odyssey. Welcome back to the workshop where we create community, find freedom, promote preparedness, and share success. I am Toolman Tim, and this is episode 328 of Workshop Radio, and this is June 18th, 2023. No, June 22nd. How we doing? Guys, the days are getting shorter already, and I'm screwing up my lines before we even start. So how the hell is everyone out there? Great to have you. Hey, we got Gunfighter Concealment, Byron Roberts, Know Your Joe. Great to have you. I suppose the question of the night is, what am I drinking? Well, a new concoction, because I typed in grenadine and bourbon into Google tonight to see what it brought up, because I found a bottle of grenadine when I was putting my bar together, and it was equal parts bourbon, grenadine, and in this case, Diet Cola. They said cola of some sort, and it's not bad. Not great, but not bad. But I'm not going to waste the Buffalo Trace that went into it, so cheers to everyone. Tonight, we're going to talk about content creation in just a minute. Been a ton of questions coming from the community, but before we do that, let's get the housekeeping out of the way. We got 3 things on the go. Hey, Rob, good to have you. Checking in while cleaning the garage until dinner. I love hearing about people getting shit done. First off, guys, if you don't know who Jenni Hill is, she is a person who has been instrumental or a big part in the Living Free in Tennessee community and the extended communities. She's always been an encourager. She took a big leap of faith, moved away from the holler last year. Maybe it's 2 years ago now, I'm not sure. She's been doing as well as she can on her own, and she's suffering for some serious health problems, guys. Just, a friend of a friend, person I've met in person. Anyway, there's some pretty cool people behind the scenes that have been putting together an awesome auction for her. Links in the description, but we're going to do a 4-hour live stream, Nicole and I, with some other friends, July 2nd from 5 till 9 Eastern time or 3 to 7 Mountain. So keep an eye out. But if you want to bid on some cool stuff, including one set of the Workshop Silver Rounds, check that out. Number 2, our sponsor of the evening is my brother Joel from FortressK9.com. Check out the Production Dog podcast. This week, he was talking about finding your tribe, and that seems to be a theme going around all of our communities lately, because it is definitely something worth finding. And when you do, you'll be like, why did I wait so damn long? And finally, guys, I mentioned last week about Nicole Sauce's Homesteading Starter Pack. It's a pretty cool program. So I thought that I would bump it one more time this week before it started, but it launched last evening. So I missed it by a day. But Nicole sent me over a coupon. I've used Toolman. You'll save $200 off the whole thing, and you get access to all the pre-recorded webinars. There's only been one so far, but if you use the link in the description and use the code Toolman, save $200 off the whole price, which is kind of cool. Oh, and check this shirt out tonight, guys. It takes zero talent to hustle from Special Operations Equipment. John sends me so many shirts that I try my damnedest to make sure that I put them on so you guys can see them, but I'm usually just this discombobulated head floating here, so there is that. So anyway, I hope everybody's been doing great. We have been absolutely swamped here. It's been great. Just crazy for the better. Just a whole bunch of different things on the go, dealing with an ant outbreak at a couple different rental properties, trying to get some furniture put together for the daycare, and just getting a whole bunch of content put together. I'm finally in the zone. I feel like I've got my mojo back, whatever that means. I don't really know, but I've been getting a lot of shit done, so I appreciate that. Hey, we got Letty Lou. She made it to a weeknight show. Great to have you. And Haas and Pippin. Hey, right on. Good to have you. Okay. So let's flash back to about a month ago, I think now, at the Thrivalist Fair. I was probably halfway through, and I get a Facebook message from Jason from Kentucky Sustainable Living. His message was something along the lines of, hey, man, how do you make money doing podcasts? And my smart ass wanted to respond, you don't, but that wasn't really the response I got. What I really did was left the message unread for almost a week, because I knew in order for me to send something worth replying, it would take me a while to put it together. And it did. So I sent him a reply. But on top of that, I sat down and had a great conversation with Tori. We did a recording that hasn't seen the light of day yet, but it will. It's coming out when we start this whole new series thing. And she asked me a couple of questions about how do I juggle all my funnels, which is kind of a funny picture of juggling funnels. And how do you make ideas, or how do you find new ideas for your content all the time? And it's all just been beating around in my head. And ever since I got back, I've been telling myself it's time to do a new, another content creators tip episode. This could spread into two. I have no idea where it's going to go. I mean, I have tons of notes for you. So I'm going to answer some of those questions. I'm going to revisit some tips that I did back in April of 2021, 2.5 years ago, a worldwide pandemic ago, 7,000 subscribers ago. And we're going to see, do they still hold up? I'm going to talk about some of the programs I'm using like crazy lately, some of my favorite creators that are helping me take my content to the next level. And we'll work our way through. Hey, right on. Andrea Snow. Great to see you. Said waiting for it to storm again. Every single week, poor Andrea is dealing with a storm. There have been, anyway, I hope you stay safe, and it's good to have you here. And say hello to your hubby for me, too. Chris Dixon, evening workshop, just listening in the smithy. Great to have you, brother. So let's start with my brother Jason from Kentucky Sustainable Living. And so his question was, hey, how do you make money doing podcasts? So, of course, like I said, my smart ass wanted to say you don't. But long way around, I'm going to be 100% honest with everyone here. Doing a podcast alone without anything else supporting it, or your podcast supporting anything else, can be a difficult proposition to make money with. So let's talk about it. What is a podcast? I mean, you guys know I podcast 4 times a week. But everybody that I talk to, podcasting needs to be a means to an end. It doesn't have to be, but in like 95% of the time, it has to be a means to the end. It's a way to share your particular view of whatever it is you're talking about. It's your way to build a community. It's your way to give so much value to your community that there's no way you could ever be repaid for it. That's part of it. Podcasting is a long-term game. I was just watching a video before I went live tonight about some of the problems with podcasting they don't tell you about. And one of them was how there's so little in the analytics department of podcasting. And the guy said, and he was a pretty well-known or pretty good podcaster. And he said, really the only way you can look at it is, are your overall listens growing kind of slow and steady? And that is really where it comes from. So I talked to Nicole about this maybe a year or 2 years ago. And for her podcast really took off. Well, in a lot of ways, but one of them was when she really saw it as a vessel to sell more coffee. Now, what do I mean by that? That means that she gave so much value to her community, and she created the community without any expectation of value being returned. But when her value became high enough that she gave enough value to her community, people wanted to support her by buying coffee. She has an incredible product. I drink Hollow Roast Dark all the time. And the benefits that come from a podcast are, number one, having a product or a service or whatever it is to sell, value for value exchange with your community. That's number one. But for Nicole, and it's starting with me as well, then eventually, once you've built it to a certain size, if you're up for speaking, there are speaking engagements that come up, sponsors, maybe you put online courses together, what Nicole, the course tonight that I actually promoted for Nicole. So there's all of that. And I use her as an example because she's, been a few years ahead of me and kind of a mentor and somebody whom I've looked toward and thought, hey, I'd really love to be a little bit more like that. So how do podcasts work? Now, I mean, how do you make money from the content of a podcast? The easiest way people say, oh, run ads or get some sponsors. And yes, that is a great way. I have Amy Dingman and Joel Riles of Farmers Kind of Life and Fortress Canine, who are both sponsors. So that has helped a little bit. It builds your brand awareness. It helps strengthen and grow your community. Now you're like, well, brand awareness and growing a community doesn't help the bottom line. That's the thing about a podcast. A podcast is very much it's a little harder to quantify the returns. With a YouTube video, if I do a YouTube video, I know I can look at the ad dollars and say, that's the money that video made me. I can also look, okay, well, that's how many that people bought based on my recommendation from Amazon. I get the, whatever it is, 3%, 4% from Amazon. So I know, making YouTube videos, I know basically what kind of money they're going to bring in. But for Canadians on TikTok, that's another one. And for podcasters, it's a little harder to quantify. So you have to look at it as a part of the whole. And if you're, again, offering way more value, and whatever it happens to be, whether it's in homesteading, whether it's in encouraging, whether it's in building entrepreneurship, that's what it comes down to with podcasting. And I'm probably beating around this bush to say it's really hard that the monetization scale or system for podcasting is nowhere near as cut and dry as it is for YouTube. I mean, if you make a YouTube video, you get this many views, you're probably going to make this much money. But with podcasting, you can have huge podcasters that are doing it for the love of it and not making any money because they never turned it into a business. Or you can have people who have smaller but committed audiences who are making money at it. And the other thing is, when you start a podcast, and just like I said this last year at Self-Reliance Festival, when you start a YouTube channel, treat it as a business. Being a business and helping other people are not mutually exclusive things. It's okay to make money off of helping people, or maybe I should rephrase that. It's okay to make money through helping other people. That's not a bad thing. And if anybody tells you it is, it's either because they don't want to help people, they're lazy, or they're broke, or all three. So don't worry about them. So for me at the moment with the podcast, sponsors, brand awareness, this one's pretty cool, but it's meeting incredible people who might just be the right person to lead me to another incredible person. Or it could be something like, hey, I'm going to reach out to Paul Wheaton's people. Then I get to sit down and talk to Paul Wheaton. Then I get to become an affiliate for Paul Wheaton, and I get to share some of his content. Like all of that, all of those things are circular. Whenever you go, I was watching a video today about how to grow your podcast. And again, it was when you go and you speak in front of audiences or talk to groups, that's one of the best ways to grow your podcast. Another, of course, is to get on other people's podcasts and have other people come on yours. For me, also, product affiliates. When you build an audience, when you have so many downloads, when you have a presence on both the podcast and YouTube feed, companies will reach out to you. And then you have to say, okay, what products am I willing to stand behind? What products am I willing to test out? And you also have to call it the way it is. If it's a piece of shit, you call it a piece of shit. Don't stake your name on something that you can't stand behind. And that's been tough. Not tough for me, but like pure transparency here. And Spags knows this. I told him this. When I wanted to get my hands on an EMP shield to learn about it. And I really had my doubts about the product before I started. And I dug into it a ton, looked at the testing behind it, talked to the people behind it, and it was something I was willing to back. So there's that. The silver. And the big one is the Patch of the Month Club. All of those things. But again, treat it like a business when you start. But as you go along, you have to realize that you're going to put all your value out there. And it takes a long time to see any return on that value, and that's okay. And if you never see return on the value, you got to be okay with that too. I'm not saying that's going to happen, because if you continue to help people and build a community and build an audience, then yes, eventually you'll find value from that. So that's a long ways to circle around the idea of a podcast is way harder to quantify than a YouTube channel. So I hope that helps. We're going to dig into more of the content creation thing. I also think that when I said a podcast alone is a very difficult proposition to both quantify and figure out whether or not you are making money from it or whether it makes you money. But I think it's a really big part of being a content creator if you're so inclined to do it. The main reason I jumped into podcasting was if I'd have stuck with YouTube, I probably would have given it all up eventually, because I love reviewing tools and short form content. But what I really like is being able to expand into a whole bunch of different topics and do a deep dive into a lot of this stuff. And that's why I love podcasting. Okay. The next one was from Tori. We all know Tori, the wandering ma. And she wanted to know, how do you keep track of all your funnels? And again, my smartass answer was, I don't. Now, by funnels, what do you mean? Well, one thing about making money from any content creation is you have to have multiple funnels bringing money in. Because if you're going to just rely on YouTube dollars, you're probably not going to do super well. Again, I talk about the spaghetti method. Throw things on the wall, see what sticks. Do more of the things that make you more money. Do none of the things that don't make you money. But I talk to people who have, I've got 8,000 subscribers, 8,200, something like that. And I talk to lots of people that have 50 and 75,000 subscribers who aren't anywhere close to where I already am with that. And again, it's from paying attention to your numbers, looking all the time. Okay, where can I improve? What can I do? Always looking for new ways to bring in money based on what you're already creating. For me, I made a list of them, and they kind of go up and down depending on the month. But YouTube, the first one most people can start with is Amazon affiliates. You can start with other ones. And I love Amazon affiliates because everybody uses Amazon. I don't always care for Amazon on everything they do, but if people are going to buy it and they want a way to support somebody, it's an easy win because you can get in at a lot smaller audience. They'll accept you, but also it's free. It doesn't cost anybody anything. They just use your link, they buy your product, and you're good. That's where review videos help as well. But so, some months YouTube dollars are a little higher. Some months Amazon affiliate dollars are a little bit higher, but both of those are there. Amazon affiliates are usually the first thing most people start with because the barrier to entry is lower. And then there's YouTube. Now, YouTube just lowered the barrier of entry for some things, but not for ad dollars yet. So there's that. Individual affiliate links. This was something I ignored for a long time when I started out. And I think if I went back, I think I probably would have spent a lot more time on individual affiliate links. And if you wonder what that is, that can be a lot of different things. But for me, one of them would be the EMP Shield. Another one would be the Batrix. It's products that you review that you can stand behind, that the company's like, hey, we'd love for you to share this code. And if you do, you'll get an affiliate commission from it. The cool thing is about individual products or dealing directly with the company is the percentages tend to be quite a bit higher. So, with Amazon, they're, kind of in that 3 to 4% range, but dealing with individual companies, it can be, 6, 8, 10, 15%, depending on the company. And high dollar items, of course, with better commissions do better, but you sell less of them. So, I've tried everything under the sun. Some things work better than others, but I really, if I were new, I would definitely spend a lot of energy on 2 or 3 products that I stand behind that companies are willing to give individual affiliate links for, and then figure out how to put those videos in front of the most people. Because I think, my opinion right now is that's probably the best bang for the buck for a brand new content creator is get an affiliate link for individual products that you spend time on. Okay, back up a little bit. Get affiliate links for individual products that you already use, that you love, that you already talk to people about, whether you're getting paid on the back end or not, if that makes sense. All of that. But for me, the biggest thing is always making sure that it's something that I'm willing to back or not promote, but show through a review video if it's something that I believe in, I guess is the proper term I'm looking for there. But I really do. I think that's probably the way to start. Haas, I'm going to star that, and I'm going to get back to you here in just a minute. But I would totally start. I know that is the lowest barrier of entry. Some companies will accept anybody, and I don't mean that in a bad way. But, like Coast Flashlights I used for a long time. The barrier of entry to get in with them is pretty low. So spending some time as a content creator looking for those individual affiliate links for products you already use every day, that's a no-brainer. So start there. And then once you get accepted into the Amazon affiliate, you can throw the Amazon link up there as well. And, and a lot of times companies will give you a bit of a a coupon code also so that your community can save money. So then it's a win-win for absolutely everybody. Something they're going to buy anyway, they're going to save money on, and then you're going to make a little bit. For me, finding that thing, it took a long time, and I still thank Brian Alexovich for this all the time, but the patch of the month, that's another one of my funnels. And, as long as I send my patches out and I promote it, it's a funnel that kind of takes care of itself, which is cool. And I appreciate that. Well, I mean, there is work. I have to come up with designs. I have to send the designs away. I have to package them, but it's a really cool funnel that just gets a little wider every month. And I appreciate that. And as you build a community, you need to have a way for people to support you and to reward you for that value. And I hope it's not some useless piece of shit or, a little trinket or something. Like for me, I think a patch is something people are going to wear. It's something that is tangible. They can hold on to. It gives them joy. It even helps support some people in their minimalist lifestyle, like RV campers and things like that. But I like it. And it's just a way to do value for value exchange. But make sure when you're building a community and you're building a YouTube channel that you give people a way to support you. Because if you don't, you're not being fair to them either. Remember that. Don't ever sell yourself short. Podcast sponsors, I have 2 now. That helps quite a bit. That's really when I put podcast sponsors in, I guess that's really how I put it. There'll be some more. I'm going to be an affiliate for Paul Wheaton, some of his stuff. I've got my hands on his rocket stove and a few other things right now that I'm going to look through. And if there's the ones that I like, then I'm going to be able to promote those. But that's kind of a type of podcast sponsor as well. Merchandise sales are kind of cool. Again, I don't want it to just be some, Chinese sweatshop t-shirt or something. I want it to be something practical. T-shirts are great. I love t-shirts and I'm not slamming them at all. But, the Batrix battery pack, that's really cool. Silver, I absolutely love because, again, who doesn't want some extra precious metal, right? And the fact that it has the workshop logo on it makes me smile. So, yeah, funnels. And yes, she did kind of wonder, how do you keep up with them all? And here's the truth. Once you set up a funnel, some of them you don't have to take care of. There's some that I will, Letty Lou, made in Canada. Well, the silver's not made in Canada. It's made in the U.S., then shipped back to me by a really cool dude. But yeah, Curio Bullion on Instagram, awesome guy. But yeah, but this community has, even though the cool thing is, whenever I look at my demographics, it's like 75, 80% American. This weird, crazy Canuck, this floating head on a, YouTube live stream, 100% came from Canada and will always be from Canada, or at least originally. Maybe someday I can live full time in the States, but that's another story. Hey, so Haas wants to know, and this kind of goes part and parcel with that. How much time do you spend keeping up with it all? It's a full-time job now, for sure. Yesterday, I spent every minute from the time I woke up till the time I sat down in the living room with Becky about 8 o'clock making content, 100%. I probably do that 2 or 3 days a week, probably 2 days a week for content. And, for full days making videos and that sort of thing. Hey, Nate Lemaster, great to have you. I try to keep track, being Know Your Joe. Oh, right on. Yeah. There are a couple left. Becky, anyway, I've been waiting for Becky's curriculum for the daycare to show up at the Montana address. It showed up today. So if all goes well, I'll be shipping everything out Monday when I head across the border. If not, it'll be Tuesday. So anyway, yeah, Know Your Joe. We did silver this year, $100 for a custom 1 ounce and a custom 1/2 ounce workshop silver round, which is just over here. And Andrea says, you and Becky are the coolest Canucks that I know. You're being nice because we're the only 2 Canadians I understand it, Andrea. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah. So Joe, if you end up or interested, there are a couple of sets left, but I've got them here. They're custom made by a dude down in the States. They come with certificate of authenticity and I fucking love them. We do a single run each year. We did 20 sets this time, 20 sets last year, and they have the year on the back, the purity, they're 0.999, I believe is what it is. And I love doing them. They're fun. I hold a couple back for me. I was able to donate one to the Jenni Hill auction this year. So yeah, it's cool. I love it. It's a fun thing to do. So how much time do you spend keeping up with it all? I could spend more time keeping up with how much time I spend, but I'm not that good at that. But here's the thing. When you live the entrepreneurial lifestyle, it's really hard to quantify how many hours you spend on something. Because for me today, I was down here spending time researching on TubeBuddy, figuring out how to improve my click-through rate on videos today. Then all of a sudden Becky calls and she's like, hey, we have a new crib over here. Can you come and install it? And I say, sure. So then I go over, I get 3 pieces of the crib put together, and all of a sudden the Orkin man shows up and he's like, hey, I wasn't supposed to be here till next month, but I'm here now. Can you please take me to all your properties that need to be sprayed for ants? So then I spend an hour and a half doing that. And in the meantime, I get a message from brother Sean Mills about a really cool business proposition. So I get on the horn, I deal with him. I go pick up my kids from school. I go back over to the daycare. I put together the crib, and then I come back down here to polish off the notes for tonight. So like I said, some days it can be really hard to figure out where your time is spent, but I definitely spend at least 40 hours a week on content, and it is paying off. It absolutely is. I told you guys, here, let's talk about this. I said by December 31st this year, I wanted to be making enough money from my content to be a full-time job. And I'm not sure if I've ever shared that number, but for me, that number was $4,000. So last month I made $3,100 and change from my content. Fucking close, right? 7 months before my goal. So I'm going to go back and find Mitch the bitch from TikTok. And when I hit that goal, I'm going to say hi to him again because, that's what anyway. So, but I say this so that everybody knows I want to be transparent with my goals. I want to hit these fucking goals every single time, and if I don't quite hit it at the end of the year, that's cool too, whatever. But that's from 7 or 8 different funnels being juggled all around here. And they all come into one thing because I love doing this. I love sitting down here in my newly renovated studio /shop /office that has my bar. Anyway, I'm going to give you guys a tour of that, but I love doing this because I love talking to you guys. I love building this community. And I'm so glad. A few things. I'm way off on a tangent tonight, guys, but I am so glad that I'm an anarchist. I'm so glad that I came up through the Jack Spirko School of Podcasting so that he empowered me to believe that it's 100% okay to help other people and make money while you're doing it. And anybody who tells you otherwise is a liar. But that's simple as that, guys. And that's where it comes down to, is figuring out how to make it, because unless you're Mother Teresa, who would want to spend 40 hours a week doing something if you're not going to get somewhat reimbursed in the long run? Anything great that's ever been built, at least I'm going to say it has been done because of some sort of reward on the other end. And the crazy thing about podcasting and YouTubing and content creation is you invest a ton up front. But the crazy thing is you only have X amount of hours in a day. So as you go along, you're here. If you're watching, if you're on audio, you're missing this. But when you first start, your time investment's way up here, and your money investment is actually negative because you spent a bunch of shit, right? But as time goes on, your time stays here because you only have so much time to invest. You might move it up a little bit. You might find an extra 5 or 10 hours a week to spend on it. But hopefully eventually, and the cool thing about content is eventually the time and the money balance out, and then eventually the money and the reward goes higher and higher. It's exponential. So, you're basically investing the time you can, maybe finding a little bit more as you go along, but eventually you hit the wall where you have to figure out, okay, what am I doing that's making money? What am I doing that's bringing a reward? And what am I doing that isn't? And then throw at the things that aren't. And you'll see, I'm not going to make it through all my notes tonight, guys. That's cool, though. There's so many things to talk about. But yeah, you will see that don't be married to anything. Be willing to change certain things as you go along. Because as long as your message doesn't change and as long as who you are doesn't change, the packaging, one of my favorite Canadian philosophers, Marshall McLuhan, talked about the medium is the message. So in other words, if you're back up. If your message is not packaged properly, so if it's not in the proper medium, it can't be digested by the people that need to see it. So you're doing your message a disservice by not packaging it properly. There. Know Your Joe says, how many different platforms do you produce content for or involved with? How long has it taken from ground zero to reach your content financial goals? February 2020 is when I started. So we are 3.5 years into this. I try to function stack. I try to make sure that I make content and it goes every place I can. So tonight, for instance, we are live. Here's how it goes. And try to figure out how to make these things as redundant or hands-off as you can, right? So for instance, tonight, when we're done, this is how it goes. I put, probably 4 hours into tonight's script. That's more than some and less than others. So there's that. But okay. So how many platforms? How does it go? Tonight, we're streaming on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Rumble, and Odyssey. So if you have all that set up properly, I only have to do that once. I'm streaming here. StreamYard takes care of everything else. Also, tonight, we are streaming live on the Prepper Broadcast Network. My Thursday show also goes on the Prepper Broadcast Network. Now, all of these happened over time. Nothing happened, at once, right? Hey, Twitch checking in. I was just thinking the other day, I feel so bad for the guys over on Twitch. I've done nothing to grow Twitch. I get my reports and I get like 1, 2, or 3 streamers over there at a time. But I do appreciate you guys. I absolutely do. So all across the board, it's there, right? When I'm done, because I stream to most of those platforms or to all those platforms, they're there. I discovered I get way more eyeballs if I stream live to Rumble than if I just let the live stream go there later on. So there's that. Okay, so we stream. It goes to all the places. When I'm done, it also uploads automatically to the Prepper Broadcast Network podcast feed. Now I have my Spotify, which used to be Anchor, podcasting app open in the background. All the notes, which were copy and pasted from all the different platforms, are in there waiting for me. When I'm done, I go, usually while I'm chatting, because when you're done with a guest, you usually chat with someone afterwards, because I like to talk to people. You hit download audio. It takes about 5 minutes for that audio to download. I upload the audio to Spotify. I hit publish, and I go upstairs, and I sit on my ass, and I chat with my wife. So by the time I'm done live streaming with you tonight, within 10 to 15 minutes of finishing my live, it is on all the platforms, including audio, and I don't have to think about it again until I get up in the morning and I copy and paste. I come up with a decent post for social. And what I do is I post it first in Twitter, because Twitter is the only one with character restrictions. And I know if it'll work in Twitter, it'll work everywhere. And then I copy and paste it to all my different social platforms, which right now are Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Freesteading, NOSTR, and MeWe. Those are the ones. So there's that. So yeah, function stack. You got me off on a tangent there, but I appreciate it. So yeah. So did I answer all of that? Yeah. February 2020 roughly is when I launched my How to Start a Handyman Business series. I went live on Living Free in Tennessee. And I think that December, I made my first couple of bucks from Amazon affiliate links. And March, the next year, March 2021, I got monetized on YouTube. And yeah, it went crazy. And now, so, okay, remember, time or return on investment, right? So the more, you can only spend so much time, but eventually the return on investment goes like this. So here's the cool thing, guys. I spent a ton of money on a ton of gear for a lot of years reviewing tools that I love. The awesome thing now is that companies reach out to me and they're like, hey, we have this tool. Would you like to try it out? And I have a stock response that I send. Like, here's the deal. Number one, if the tool sucks, I'm going to say it sucks, which is cool. A lot of times they don't respond after that. I get as long as I need to review it. It's up to my opinion, and I don't take money for the review. Now, if I like the product and they have an affiliate link afterwards, totally cool with that. But those are the rules that I have in place, and hopefully that keeps me honest and with integrity. I was going to say integral, but that's not quite the right word there. So that's where that comes from. Thank you, Haas. Haas said, listening to Tim giving awesome content. Haas, if I could thumbs up that, I would thumbs up that for you. Letty and Lou says, copy paste is really quick and easy to get the info across multiple platforms. Letty's been researching Hootsuite and other options to cross post, and there's a lot that is integrated now. Yeah, there's a ton. You know what? Fill me in, Letty, on it, because it's something I might be willing to look at. I wish there was something that was intelligent enough to do all of them, right? Know Your Joe says, actually, that's not bad. Bourbon, grenadine, and Diet Pepsi. We'll remember that. Is the live only to YouTube, or does the stream broadcast simultaneously to all the platforms? So I have the professional plan with StreamYard. I could be incorrect about this. I'm pretty sure I'm not, but okay. I think the free one gives you 2 platforms you can stream to. The next step up, I believe, is 4, and then the professional is 8. So I try to get to 8 platforms because it doesn't cost me any more to do that. But yes, it's simul stream. So if you're on Twitter right now watching, it is live. Darkwing Dave that checked in from Twitch, they're watching live. And the cool thing is I use a completely different program called Spreaker for PBN, which allows me to use this microphone to stream my audio only over to PBN. And I think I just figured out tonight how I can finally do whenever I have an occasional multi-participant show on a Thursday, I can stream that over there, because before that I was just doing replays on Thursdays in PBN. But again, that's been awesome. I love having the PBN, got the community over there. I'm going to meet up with them at Prepper Camp again this year. But everything grows, you know. If you look back, my first 3-4 months of the podcast, I'm streaming on Twitter right now. It is, at least it should be. I can look up here and I can see Facebook's live, Toolman Tim's workshops live, Twitch, Twitter, what's that one? Odyssey, Rumble, and another channel that I created recently that I haven't really talked about yet. So there's that. But it is a strictly workshop radio channel where the live streams are plopping right now. Remember how I told you that sometimes we need to not be married to a certain idea? I've been toying with the idea of separating the workshop radio lives from my review channel. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that yet. I was 100% convinced I was going to a couple of weeks ago, and then all the metrics on the live stream started going through the roof. I don't know. Anyway, whole bunch of things to talk about there, but again, don't be married to one idea, but when things are working, keep them. But also don't be afraid to lose progress to go forward, if that makes sense. Sometimes you have to screw things up a little bit. Or my good friend Phil Robertson always said, you got to make a mess to fix a mess, right? So there's that. Where'd my notes go? Lost them that fast. So So content ideas. How do I come up with content ideas? At this point, it's not that difficult, but when you start, it can be. This was another question from Tori. For me, I've said it many times, it's this phone right here. I keep a notepad in my phone that says ideas, or it may not even say ideas. It just may be a random idea that I come up with. I'm driving, I hit microphone, I go, hey, I think we should talk about how they made barrels in the 1900s or whatever, and you know what? 80% of what I write down never sees the light of day. But if there's a day where my brain's just not working and it feels like I'm just not inspired, I go through that list and I'm like, oh shit, Tim, your brain did come up with something really good recently. So keep a notepad of video ideas on file, write everything down, no matter how dumb you think they might be, because they might be dumb. And 10% of them are probably the worst ideas ever. 80% of them are like, meh, they'll do on a slow day. And 10% are your gold. But you get quality through quantity, I think. At least that's what I found. I wanted to go back up here right quick because I missed one. I see PA Prepper in here. He says, we have time, but none to lose. Make it count. Exactly. Invest in the things that mean the most to you and will bring you the most return, and whatever your definition of return happens to be. 17 live streamers in here tonight, guys. I love it. Thank you very much. We almost hit 30 the other night with Becky and I. We did the For those who missed it, we did a very neon colored, how do you want to put that? It was an 80s and 90s throwback day for sure. All out of bourbon. That's okay. Know Your Joe says, how long did it take before companies reached out to work with you? As well, about how many videos did you produce in that time frame? I'm going to guess. I'll be close, but I'm not sure. The first company that reached out to me was actually somebody who was loosely connected to another community that I know. And they worked for a tool company who sent me a care package. And I wasn't, they always said you can't say who it was or what it's for. You can say it's from the company. But that was so exciting. I loved that. The next one was Coast Flashlights. I reached out to them and I said, hey, I would like to be an affiliate. And they got back to me and they said, we'd like to have you as an affiliate. What can we send you to test out? And I'm like, oh, cool. I love Coast Flashlights. So that was about 18 months ago. So I would say it was a solid year and a half to 2 years in. Now this is personal experience. Your mileage may vary, but probably, so I can tell you one thing that I know for sure. The minute I hit 5,000 subscribers, Chinese companies that sell on Amazon started reaching out to me in droves. I almost had none before that. And then all of a sudden, a ton of them hit me up. So I would say around 5,000 subscribers is when companies really started reaching out to me. Before that, other than one or two, it was me reaching out to companies saying, hey, I'd like to work with you. What can you do for me? And they would say, hey, yeah, we can do affiliate. And here's a couple of cool products. I'd like to I'll show you my workbench. I have a massive pile of stuff out there. And it's getting to the point where when my brother-in-law comes in now, a couple of days ago, I got some sound meters in the mail. Here you go, Barrett. Here's an extra sound meter for you. Before that, it was an extra multimeter. So it's kind of cool. I appreciate it. And we're going to figure out eventually, there's enough of this stuff coming in that I'm going to start shipping things out and doing giveaways and stuff because, it doesn't do me any good just sitting around here. But it's cool. It's really exciting. Like I remember telling Becky, I love generators. And you guys remember the jokes about me going to the States and buying generators. Well, the cool thing is that, I've got a 2200 watt inverter generator coming from PowerMax right now, PowerSmart, who sent me that the 500 watt power station a little while ago. So that's coming. Working on a really cool solar power battery bank system from a company that is going to be massive. I'm excited about this. It's fun because I get to test out stuff that I never would have been able to test out and I never would have been able to or wouldn't have been willing to spend money on yet. And it's exciting. So yeah, I would say there's a real benchmark when you hit 5,000 subscribers as a reviewer for whatever reason. And then people start reaching out to you, which is kind of cool. But another one of my points is subscribers don't matter unless they do matter. So we'll talk about that in a few minutes too. You're like, what the hell is Tim talking about? I have no idea, but no, it's kind of true. So, all right. So great content ideas. Where do I get them? I don't think my ideas are great all the time, but some of the things I've tried have really worked and that gets exciting for me. It makes me want to do more of them. But like I said, keep a notepad. Now, if you're absolutely stuck, look at whatever video you have done before that has, or piece of content, whatever one has the most views. Now, if you've done 7 videos and you have one video that has 100 views and the rest have 7 views, look at that 100 view video and say, what did I do right there? How can I revisit that topic? How can I redo that video in a different light? Anything. Get ideas from your best trending videos. I've done it before. I've gone back and that is how I came up with the ideas of 1 year later reviews because I'm thinking, a couple things. Number one, these are really good videos that have done really well for me. How do you go back to that well? And something a lot of people weren't doing was going back and re-reviewing tools a year later. So many YouTube review videos are just glorified unboxings. And I love going back in 1 year. I did a 2 year later on my generator this year. So, and I'll be coming up on 3 years on some of my DeWalt stuff, which is kind of cool. Look at what other people are doing. What are they doing that's working for them? Watch other content. That gets me really excited, watching other people. Listen to and read, listen to books, audio, whatever. read content, read books, listen to podcasts, watch videos, whatever it is, whatever it takes for you to get inspired. But keep notepads by, because when I'm listening to audiobooks or podcasts when I'm driving, it's usually that first half hour to 45 minutes that I'm on the road that I get really, really excited about something and I better write it down, or this old man brain, it just goes right out. I think what happens is as you lose your hair, there's less protection for the brain cells to hold on to ideas. So they just kind of float out of that old bald head. I don't know. I'm sure there's science behind it, but I don't know what it is. Also, don't be afraid to try something new. You might piss some people off. I promise you will. I remember when I first started, there was a guy who followed my stuff religiously and I really appreciated it. And his name was Tom and he was an awesome guy. And I remember I started changing up and I was doing more preparedness videos and things like that. And he really liked my handyman content. And I felt bad one day. I really did. And he's not around anymore. I think he's still alive. He just doesn't follow my stuff anymore. And that's okay. You're going to lose some people. Some people are going to get pissed off. Some people aren't going to like the fact that you let most things go in the Telegram group. And for some reason, they're going to pick an idea one morning and they're going to be like, holy shit, I can't support Tim anymore. And you'll be like, okay, that's cool. Appreciate it. Love you, brother. Take care. If that seemed like it came from a real situation, it did. So do hashtags work? If they do, any of the, okay. I've never invested enough time in them to make them work for me. I could care less. I use them on my shorts. I go back and forth on shorts anyway, but I don't use hashtags. I use tags now in my videos only because I can copy and paste them using a program called TubeBuddy. If I can do it in 2 minutes, I do it. Before that, I never saw a return on investment from either hashtags or content topic tags in YouTube videos. Yeah, Letty Lou, I do have my Boonie hat, which I didn't bring down here tonight. She says I need to wear a hat more often, keep the good ideas in the brain. That's why I've been starting to wear that hat. Plus it has my patch on it and I can promote it everywhere, right? So Haas says he sees them a lot in other creators' videos. Do they work? Probably. Have I figured out how to make them work for me? No. Have I been willing to invest more time in them yet to figure out how I can make them work? No. I don't know if that's a proper answer, but that's where I stand on them. Again, I decided to use tags, which are a little bit different. I want to show you guys some stuff in TubeBuddy tonight if we have time, how I use TubeBuddy to put together a video here. So yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. Nate, maybe. Yeah. Nate says hashtags are good when you're first starting, but if you're established, maybe not. My idea behind hashtags, or my understanding behind them, was that they will bring eyeballs to your content when people search hashtags. Instagram is really good because you can follow hashtags, and maybe it's because, I'm not a Gen Z, but I've never been up on the hashtag thing. I don't know. Maybe I should. Here's the other thing. You could lose a lot of sleep thinking about what could you be doing, but instead just be doing something and trying to improve. And that old adage of, 1% better every day, or improving something from every video. If you're not doing that, you're never going to succeed. You're never going to find your version of success in content creation, because if you just keep doing the same thing week in and week out, number one, I'd be bored. But number two, you're never going to get any better. Nate says it always looked like the pound sign to me. Absolutely. The old pound sign on the push button phone. But so there it is, I guess. Okay, I'm going to save some of these tips. We'll see where we end up. I want to go to some of the programs I'm using right now, guys, that are working really well for me. And those aren't in the notes tonight, the show notes, but I will make sure that they get there after the fact. So let me just move my notes around while I'm talking completely out loud and randomly to you. Okay, there we go. So what do we got here? Letty says TikTok and Instagram have a lot of hashtags. It can be overwhelming. Yes, it can. Know Your Joe says, have you had any companies whose product did not measure up, and what did you decide if they should not work in the future? How do they handle that? Okay, couple things. Yes. So the worst one was the 9 amp hour DeWalt battery. it was a total piece of shit. That thing was like it's a third the price of all the other. Okay, back up a little bit. Let me fill you in. So I've used knockoff DeWalt batteries. The Whately brand I really love. Chicken Hawk turned me on to them, and they've been good to me ever since. So a company reached out to me, and they're like, hey, Tim, here's our 9 amp hour flex volt DeWalt knockoff. We'd love for you to review it. And again, I give them my line. Hey, guess what? If it's a piece of crap, I'm going to tell people it's a piece of crap, so you better be okay with that. And it's gotten to the point now, which is kind of cool, is if I think something's a bit of a piece of crap, I don't even respond to the email at this point. I got one the other day for this mini hedge trimmer that looked like it was either a torture device or it would fall apart the first time I tried to use it. I didn't respond, which, I probably would have responded in the past because it would have given me some more content at least. But anyway, so if you want to see it, look up the FlexVolt knockoff battery. I tore that thing to shreds. It wasn't even a 6 amp hour battery. It got me 1.5 million views on TikTok, but I was absolutely honest about it. If you want to see, here, I'll give you another up-to-date example. So you guys know so far, I've really loved Cat brand products. So what have I used that I liked? Their socks, their ratchet straps, and their Power Cube. I really love the Power Cube that has the compressor and everything built in. They reached out to me and they said, hey, we'd love to send you some products. They sent me a stand-up battery charger, like one of those you'd see in an old garage that rolls around. That hasn't even come out of the box yet. But what has is the battery pack, the little lithium-ion booster pack. So I started that with my truck. And if you watch this video, it just came out yesterday, actually. If you watch the video, it's not filmed. You don't see it in the order I actually did it in real life. So the first thing I tested was on my truck, and it didn't work on my truck. It said it was supposed to work on V8s, but it didn't work on my truck. A V8 5.7 liter, I believe. So for the hell of it, I went and tried my old dump truck, which I knew it wouldn't, but it didn't. So at that point, I went down and I talked to Becky, actually. I said, hun, this thing, thank you, Chuck. I appreciate you. Okay, so here's what I did. I went down and I said to Becky, I said, and this is so you guys can see the process I go through. I said, hun, this sucks because I really hope this product would be really good. And I said, what do I do? And she said, you know what you do? You just make the video and tell them. But she goes, why don't you go try it on my car? That's a lot smaller, a little SUV. I thought, oh shit, why didn't I think of that to begin with? Because it is a really tiny battery pack. So I wanted to find a use case for it, to be honest. So in the end, when you watch that video, you will see it boosted Becky's little Ford. It's not an Explorer, whatever it happens to be, the little SUV. It boosted that no problem at all. Works great for that. The problem is that the price is as much money. So it's 1,200 amps. You can buy a 3,000 amp booster pack for the same price. So that kind of sucks. It showed up with a, how do you want to put it? The USB AC adapter didn't work. So I thought it was busted from the beginning. Anyway, so I was honest about it. I said the only people that I could recommend this product for would be for somebody who uses a compact car that space is at such a premium that you're willing to pay almost twice the price for something that's half the size of all the other ones. And that's what it came down to. But I also said, hey, you know what I keep in my truck? This great big Cat Cube that I fucking love. That thing I bought with my own money and it works great. And then I also showed you guys a no-name Amazon booster pack that, in my opinion, is way more bang for the buck. So it was an honest review from a product that was sent to me. I don't think I'll get any more products from them. That's okay, because my integrity is worth more than getting a few products from somebody. I like getting them from them. I'm still going to review the battery tester, and I'll still buy some of the stuff with my own money because I enjoy it. Nate says, I'll be the first to shit talk a TYT radio since I blew one up. Yeah, you just have to be honest about it. And I was going to make a really cool video tearing apart that knockoff DeWalt battery. And guess what happened? I forgot to hit record, which is probably good because I almost caught it on fire a few times. But And yeah, Chuck, it was a disappointment. And so I used to get, not compliments, complaints from people who said, Tim, you rarely ever have a negative review. I think you're bullshitting. And the reason is because I spent so much time reviewing products ahead of time or researching them that I rarely bought something that I knew I wouldn't be happy with. You're probably going to see some more reviews where it's like, shit, this thing's not very good, because as companies do send things to me, you're going to see that. And I'll be honest with you. And again, if it's a shitty product, it's going to get a shitty review. Simple as that. All right. So I want to share with you guys. First off, all right, let's go here. I've got a few YouTube channels that I've been watching a lot of that are incredible. There's stuff that I've learned from them that I wish I'd learned 3 years ago. I absolutely don't regret making any mistakes I make, because any mistake you make, as long as you learn from it, really isn't a mistake. But the channels that I've been watching lately are a guy named Channel Makers. He's got 200,000 to 300,000. I'm going to post these links in the description here, guys. Actually, I'm going to do one better. Since earlier tonight, I was smart enough to share my screen. Let's go here, entire screen, right there, share. There you go, guys. So for those of you on the audio, I'll still try to explain to you, but this is what I want to share with you guys as we go along. So these are some of the resources that I've been using recently that have helped me immensely to improve my content. Channel Makers, this guy is awesome. His name's Nate. You'll know one thing, all these guys also have something in the background where they offer better training, that sort of thing. So he does a deep dive where he'll look at a ton of different people's metrics and say, okay, this is what you can put in a thumbnail to make it better. And they'll break down how the human eye reads from the left to the right. You'll notice my thumbnails have been completely redesigned recently. Know Your Joe says Channel Makers has some good content. He's awesome. And again, you have to find the people that you learn best from. But you'll notice a lot of these guys are like, kind of middle-aged guys, or, maybe a little on the young side, but that's what they are. And because you learn best a lot of times from the people that you already kind of know. So anyway, Channel Makers is friggin' awesome. I love them. He works really hard. He was really open about his anxiety and depression that he had for a while as well. He talks about storytelling a lot. And he has kind of clickbaity thumbnails, which a lot of people do. I hope that audio didn't just start playing there for you guys. I apologize if it did. Channel Makers is one. Pat Flynn, this guy. So I've been doing, hey, Moon Bear, great to have you. I love interviewing people, and I want to be as good an interviewer as Joe Rogan, or I want to be the best fucking interviewer in the entire world. So I always work at becoming better at interviewing. And okay, good. Thanks, Joe. I appreciate you. That's good. It'd be worse. The audio is going to be worse for the people listening on Purple Broadcast Network because it's all they get. So I apologize. But anyway, we're good. Okay. Pat Flynn, this guy's awesome. He does a lot more on the podcast end of things. He's really good about talking about interviews, interview concepts, collaborations. Just a really cool dude. He inspires me when I watch his stuff. He's really good. Like right there. How can you go wrong with a dude that his very first video is how to launch a community? That's what it comes down to. All the guys that I listen to and respect talk about the importance of building a community, not subscribers. Can they go hand in hand? Sure they can. But so Channel Makers, Pat Flynn, TubeBuddy. I fucking love TubeBuddy, guys. I've really gotten into it. Nick Nimmin is awesome as well, Haas. I like him quite a bit. I go back and forth on him. And again, you learn from who you listen to, who you enjoy listening to the most. I enjoy him. I have a hard time listening to him for long periods of time. And I'm sure there's people out there that are like, yeah, Tim, that's how I feel about you. That's totally cool, guys, whoever's listening right now. But no, you're probably not listening at the 59-minute, 19-second mark if you have a hard time listening to this crazy Canuck. TubeBuddy's awesome. There is an African-American dude on here. I wish I could find him. They have some other people. I like TubeBuddy's a company. So it's like when you watch some of those other like film channels and things like that, you'll get different creators depending on the day of the week. Anyway, I don't remember the guy's name. Right there, that guy. And I don't know his name, so I apologize. He's fucking awesome. He's probably only in his mid-20s. I resonate with what he says all the time. He is the greatest. He has a way of putting videos together in under 10 minutes that tell you exactly what you want to know. And you can learn at all the different levels from him. Know Your Joe, I'll get back to that one in just a minute about vidIQ. We're going to talk more about TubeBuddy here in a minute because I want to show you guys something I've been working on with it. So yeah, TubeBuddy's awesome. But their videos are a little more hit and miss because you get them from different creators. And again, I learn from certain creators better than others. And this is the one I found the most recently. And this dude, man, he's friggin' awesome. It's Film Booth is his name. And he talks about, there's two things that he talks about the most. He has a program called Edutainment. And if you watch his videos, he is a master at what he does. So he tells a story with his video. It's dramatic and funny in a, a 35, 40-year-old dude's kind of ironic, stupid dad humor type way. But it's funny. I enjoy it. I dig it. But he tells a story while he's entertaining you. And the best part is, as part of his video, he creates a journey through his videos. So at the end, his last 30 seconds, it doesn't feel tacked on at all. He naturally says, well, we've talked about this now. If you want to keep this journey going, I made this video over here called How I Got Monetized in 6 Weeks. And I completely butchered what he does, but his style is so slick and so awesome. He's incredible. So this is the guy I've been binging lately, is Film Booth. And it's great. And I'm a geek. Anyway, I could explain it, but let me show you instead. So here is, I'm going to do my best to try to explain this to anybody listening on audio. If you want, come back and find this replay on YouTube because it's going to be worth your while. I hope you guys can see my screen pretty good here. If you can't, just kind of watch what I'm doing. First off, somebody give me a topic that you're thinking you might want to make a video about or a product you want to review. Let's start with that. If somebody can throw something up in the comments, I'm going to take a drink while you're thinking. And then, okay, you can see the screen fine. Good. All right. So what we do, I'll wait for somebody to bring something up in the topic. So when I'm ready, for me, I have a product that I want to review. So I already know what ICOM 7610 review. Okay, perfect. All right. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go, if you guys can see this is within YouTube Studio. This is how I have got quite a few extra views on my videos recently. I've had a couple duds recently, but overall, my views have gone up 35% in the last month, and each month has kind of been that way. So I've been using this system for at least 10 weeks now. So, okay. Anyway, so you go up here, you go to the little TubeBuddy drop-down box. What we're looking for is Keyword Explorer. So we're going to click Keyword Explorer if it works here. There we go. Okay. So we are going to take content creation in tarot. Oh, I should have done tarot cards. Nate built me to it first to beat me to it. So we're going to go ICOM 7610. Oops, 7610. There we go. And we're going to go explore. That's pretty easy, right? Okay. So now what we're going to get is an overall score. So if you see this, guys, this is where you start. This is the topic that you put in at the top. And now it's going to tell you, this is not a very good topic to start with. Now, that doesn't mean you throw out the baby with the bathwater, but it means if you put in those two words in your title in that order, you're going to be competing with some serious competition. So what it tells you is, if you look here, people searching for it, the volume's not very high. Competition is pretty strict, pretty high. Optimization strength means how many of the videos out there are also optimized. I don't put as much into the optimization. Anyway, so search volume and competition is what you're looking at. You're looking at this fair right here, but here's the one down bottom right here. So if you look right there, it says, okay, do you see? If I were to do a video right now on ICOM 7610, the first page of search results, so I believe it's the first 20 search results, in order to be on that page, the lowest viewed video is 207 views, okay? Now, if you look right there, Mine says 112 views. My average video in the first 7 days gets 112 views on reviews. My channel's built that most of my videos trend long-term and do fairly well. Anyway, right now, 112. So that means that I'm not going to get on the front page anytime soon. So let's add, I don't know, ham radio review. See what happens now. So ICOM 7610 ham radio review. Is that the way somebody would type that into YouTube? I don't know, but we're going to try it and we're going to see if now it's spinning its wheels because I think I'm trying to do too many things at once. I apologize, guys, if this doesn't quite work the way I wanted it to. We may have to do another live stream of this later on when, all right, let's try this again. Maybe it's, okay, well, while we're waiting for it to load, what I will show you is over here, you can see YouTube. That will show you how well that term is trending recently. Then you can go to Google and it will show you how well it's trending in Google. Okay, so we've improved. We had a 25 out of 100 score. Now we have a 39. And yes, you're probably right, Nate. Now we have a 39 out of 100 out there. And again, I would have to have 112 207 to make it on the first page of search results. So this is the process I take. So let's see. Real. So let's go ICOM 710 radio, real world use. I don't know. Let's try that and see what happens. And as you can see over here, 38%. So whatever. So now we're going to go over, if you go over on the side, it will give you related searches that also work. So this one here is ICOM. Oh, that's 7,300. That doesn't work. So this is a very specific. Oh, let's say, okay, well, we're going to do a review, but we're also going to include the Mars mod into it. So let's see if that one's a little bit better. So then we go in there and we're working our way up. So what you're going to do is you're going to work your way around a review video until you find a topic that is prime for exploitation. And when I mean exploitation, I mean the place that your channel is right now can get benefit from this. So let's go back here. Aaron says, do we even have enough drinks for this? I know it's going to get confusing, but I wanted to show you guys so that maybe, I could shortcut this learning process for a lot of other people. Simply what you do is you type in the term you want to talk about, and then you work your way through until you find that gem. I kind of 75% or higher. I'm like, yes, that'll work. So let's see. I don't know how to get started reading tarot. Let's see what happens. So tarot cards, right? Let's see what if it comes up. The more we're, oh, look at that. Wow, we did really well. So all of a sudden, how to get started reading tarot. So that, if you were to build a title around that right there, you now have, and it's kind of funny, you have an 86 out of 100. There's excellent. Search volume is decent. Competition is excellent for you. That means good things. But here's the cool thing, guys. This is where it's going to speed it up for you a little bit. Right there, if I were to do one on my channel, which, doesn't fit my channel, but if I were to do it, 39 is the least amount of views in the top 20. My videos in the first week get 112 views. That means that I should be, if I do this right, trending in the first week, which is kind of cool. So that means, okay, maybe I've got a good spot there. So there's Letty says she'd love to watch Tim's tarot episode. Yeah, I would too. That would be fucking funny, wouldn't it? All right. So there. So that's how you start. So that's a topic. We got lucky there. That was awesome. So what do we do from that? We take, okay. So we take this, hey, Backwoods Butcher, great to see you. So we take this copy, and if I was in a different part, I could actually just click over to SEO. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So here we are. How to get started reading tarot. So we copy and paste that. Now I'll show you a couple other things right here, just so you get an idea. This right here, if you click results, shows you the #1 trending videos you need. Tarot 101, everything you need to know about tarot cards, right? So this shows you the top 20 results in there. So this will give you some ideas of what other people are creating tarot for the survivalists. That's friggin' awesome, Haas. I love it. So there's so much to this. I want to try to streamline it as close as I can. Okay. So yeah, this shows you, I'm just going to show you some of the stuff we're not going to do. This lady, the Gem Goddess, she owns 2 of the top 20 search results. I own 0 of them, right? Okay. So anyway, there we are. So we found the topic we want to explore. We got that. Now, what else? That's enough for that. So we copy and paste. Oh, thank you, Candy Couple. I appreciate you. So we're going to copy and paste this Keyword Explorer. We're going to go back into TubeBuddy. Hang on right there. Now we're going to go to SEO Studio. That's the second one. So Keyword Explorer is first. SEO Studio is second. Okay, so here we are. This is SEO Studio. So now we have our title, or at least the topic of our title. So now what we're going to do is paste that into here. And now we're going to optimize this video for search results the best we can. This is where it gets kind of weird, okay? So that title right now is only 62% optimized. Makes sense, okay? So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to add a exclamation point, and then we're going to put for beginners after that. So did you notice that when I added that, it brought it up to 86%? So this part is where this is a bit art and this is a bit science, and I hope I'm not losing people on this, but this is where you want it to sound good, but also work with the search results. Because if you want to get the best bang for your videos, you need to follow how to get started with reading tarot. Everybody's like, what the hell is he talking? Anyway, so that is the part that's green. That is what's going to get you trending in search results, or at least a little bit better. So let's put, I like to, for some reason they say that if you put some words in uppercase and some words in lowercase, that'll help. Anyway, so how to get started. You can add more words to your title if you want, but there's that. Anyway, so that's it. So then you need to write a description for this video, how to get started reading tarot cards. Then this is what you need to do. Reading tarot cards, and B for beginners, that sort of thing. Okay, so whoops, I put tarot cards. So the idea is that you want to write a description that in the first couple of lines restates your main keywords. And when you do that, that helps optimize your video again for YouTube search results, okay? So we are now at 95%. This is about as good as you can get. This is a really rudimentary example, of course. This is about as good as you can get on this section alone. So that was title and description. The next thing we want to do is go to tags. So what it's going to do is it's going to look for tags for you. It didn't find any. So then what we do is we go to YouTube, and we're going to look for how to started reading tarot. And we're going to leave, I can't go into her video because if I do, it's going to start playing. So you copy and paste as many of these tags as you need. You go back in here, you put them in, and it will hopefully get you up around 98 to 99%. Next is thumbnails. I don't do the thumbnail in here. I design that separately afterwards. And then you go to apply video. And if you're not, here's the cool thing. You've got all this work done. You can do 6 or 8 video topics at one time and then save them. So I normally would save it, but I don't want the tarot one in. Anyway, so you hit save. It then saves it. Once you upload a video to YouTube Studio, you can then take all this information and apply it right to your video. So there. Anyway, I hope that wasn't too deep, but that is how I research, or how I try to find the best area to promote my video in. Maybe I'll do a kind of over-the-shoulder video when I'm doing this one of these times, or a screen capture video. But that is probably the biggest part of what I use TubeBuddy for. And if you want to know, I also tried something new today for the very first time. Also, TubeBuddy is free, but these features I'm showing you are in the I think it's the minimum $4.99 a month plan. So it's not bad. Once you start making a little bit of money, my first couple of years with YouTube, I told Becky, we made the deal. Everything I made from it was going to get reinvested in the content. And so I've wasted a lot of money on programs that I didn't like. But anyway, let's see if we can find right here. This is brand new that I just tried today, guys. I'll show you this. This is A/B video testing. I don't know what's going to show up when I click here. Yeah, so let's check this out. Let's go in here, in progress. Let's bring it up and see if it shows up. So what it does is it looks at videos. Maybe it won't. It might show it for me. So what it does is it looks at videos that are, okay, here it is. So if you can see this, this was my original thumbnail right here. Run Bauer tools with DeWalt batteries. Will it work? Now, this video does quite well, but it has a really low, hold on. What is that called? Right here. Let's see if I can find it for you. Click-through rate, CTR. That's what I was looking for. So CTR is the most important stat on YouTube if you want to get in front of the most eyeballs. The more people that watch it, the more people YouTube suggests it to. There's no way to game this. What you need to do is make quality content that fits your audience, and your content will get recommended to more people. So anyway, what I upgraded to the higher version because I wanted to try out this feature. So what they do, and this is kind of cool. So this is the original thumbnail, and it had quite a good amount of views, but a really low click-through rate. So I designed a new thumbnail based on the new research I've done. So it's power this Harbor Freight with this DeWalt battery. Now, it might seem a little clickbaity, but that is the style of videos that work within my content. So what they will do over the next 2 weeks is for 24 hours, they'll run this thumbnail. Then for 24 hours, they'll run this one, and they switch it back and forth for 2 weeks. And then it'll tell me, is it worth switching to this permanently? So what I've been able to do is go back and revitalize some of my really well-built videos that I didn't do them the proper service by giving them the right medium, if that makes sense. So yeah. All right. I didn't even touch. I have like 30 tips here that we will save for the next video. We're not finished yet though, guys. If you're good to go a little longer, I wanted to share with you the programs that I'm using and a little bit of the gear. So let's go back up to solo layout for a minute. There we are. Okay, so what programs am I paying for right now that have added value to my life? Number one is TubeBuddy. I would start with the $5 plan. There's two things that $5 plan does that makes it worth its weight in gold. Number one was exactly what I just showed you, video research. Once you learn the system, it doesn't take as long as you think. The other cool thing is I have like 600, well, it was over 700. I just took a bunch of videos off my channel. So anyway, around 600 videos right now. Say all of a sudden my Facebook link changed or whatever. At one time I can't remember. Anyway, it doesn't matter, but say one of those changed, right? Or my float, when float shut down, I no longer had a need for a float link. So what TubeBuddy will do is it will search all 600 of my videos. It will find where my float link is, and it will delete it if I tell it to do that. Or more importantly, what I like to do is about once a year, I go through and I update every single video in my catalog with all of my up-to-date links. TubeBuddy does all that. Think about how many hours that would take to do that manually. TubeBuddy can do it in like 10 minutes. So those two features alone. Now for thumbnails, now remember for 3 years, guys, I did absolutely everything on my iPhone and with bottom of the barrel, lapel mic. What did I use? Lapel mic, phone, and a cheap tripod and a cheap podcast mic. Now I've recently upgraded almost everything because everything died at once. Eventually you have to decide if you want to or not. But yeah, it's pretty cool, Nate. I like that feature quite a bit. Okay, so TubeBuddy, I pay. It's definitely worth the $5 when you're ready to do it. I don't remember what Canva is worth, but Canva is worth its weight in gold. That it makes. You need to learn how to use it. Both those thumbnails you guys saw there. Let me bring this back up for a minute. Both those thumbnails you saw were both designed in Canva. I've just learned how to use Canva a lot better to make something like this. It's worth, I had apps that I used. I think I recommended one to Brian quite a while ago on my phone, but I was never able to replicate the quality like I can with Canva. And Canva works on your phone just as easily as it works in the browser. So I've recently, probably over the last 6 months, switched to 99% PC editing. So I have switched from using iMovie or CapCut. There it is. So it's $129 a year for Canva. I think if I remember correctly, they usually have a Black Friday sale. So I will probably look for a yearly deal at Black Friday. I think I pay monthly right now. I can't remember what it is. Anyway, but it's worth it for me for sure. But Canva's a little expensive, so I wouldn't say go out and do that tomorrow, because there's tons of free programs out there that will absolutely work for you for years. And they did for me. Or I had like a $5 a month subscription on my iPhone for a thumbnail program, and then they changed it and I got pissed off. Finally tried Canva and I friggin' love it. Yeah. Oh, and Letty says it integrates with various socials, which is cool. Okay. What do I edit on? I use Filmora, Wondershare's Filmora. So is Canva? No, you know what? Let's, hey, this is my show. We can do what we want, can't we? Let me bring up Canva right quick here for you guys. You guys get to see the, what's the word for it? The real-time evolution of some of my thumbnails here. So here is what Canva looks like. Let's get rid of, there it is. You can do tons of things with Canva. I just happen to only do thumbnails with them because that's what I've used them for. I also designed a Patch of the Month subscription club in there. So you go back further and you'll see there's some, I hope I don't give away any of my patches. There's some old patches. There was a snow removal poster we tried. Something I tried for Man Tracker. These were coffee labels that we did for Canadian Coffee Company that really isn't a thing anymore because what did I say? Try things that work, don't do things that don't work. And so I don't do them anymore. You know what? Let's go in and design a thumbnail real quick. Where did I go? I'm not on the screen anymore. Well, I am, but I'm really small. So let's see if we can fix that right quick. How do we do that? There we go. Okay. So today, for instance, I went in and I'm really working on my brand presentation a little bit, but here's this. So I use a combination of a few things, but there is a program on my browser. It's free online that will, oh yeah, that's right. Canva there's a free version of Canva, which I started with for a long time. So I use a program where I pull images off of like Amazon, and then it makes it a transparent background. So then I can bring it in here and move it around. Then I add a little, an outline shadow to it. I add a little bit of blur to it. A lot of times I'll take like these pictures in the background. I'll find them through Google Image or something, and I'll blur them out so that you're not actually using an image. Or I've been using the AI image generator a lot. And for some reason, the contrasting red arrows work really well in review videos. So I use them. Don't be shy about that kind of thing. But you're probably never going to see me doing the Macaulay Culkin face, in my, I can't stand that. It drives me nuts. It doesn't suit my brand, and I don't think it suits our community. So there you go. That is what it is. But some people might like doing that, right? So there you go. So yeah, I love Canva. I use Filmora for editing now. That I think has a little bit of a monthly fee as well. I'm looking at buying it yearly. I've been just waiting. Okay, Nate says the coffee thing did not go. It's not that it didn't go. It's that sometimes you have to kind of let things go. I could have spent a shit ton of time on it to make it work, and I decided not to. It's still there right now. I'm probably, what I would like to do at some point soon is probably just do like a single brand white labeled with maybe a fellow content creator that has a coffee company out there. Enough said for the time being, but you have to simplify, right? There's so many things that you can lose your time in that you have to find out. I could white label with somebody with a single brand of a coffee that I tested and really like, and probably make as much money or more for almost no work. So that's where it comes down to, you just have to decide. And here's the other thing, and I hope people never, I don't know what the word for it is, judge me on this, but you'll notice that I throw a shit ton of stuff out there all the time. I always get excited about new ideas. And part of that is, again, it's that spaghetti method. You throw a bunch of things out and see what sticks. You find out what you fall in love with. You find out the things that work for you. And the things that don't, you just stop doing them. So if something disappears and you're like, why did Tim stop that? It's probably because it wasn't working or it didn't bring the return on investment. And if you see something that I just stopped doing and you're like, frig, I'd love to do that, message me. You can have it. I'd love to see it succeed. That's just how it is, right? So that's what Nate says. Totally agree. We have a ton of irons in the fire and not too much to show for it. Well, first off, I would say you guys have an incredible podcast that's showing quite well for itself. And you have yourself an Etsy store that's there, and I hope it's doing okay, but you've created it. So yeah, there. And he says, we're finally finding things that are working. Exactly. You got to try a lot of things to find what works for you. And that's what's really cool about it. So Filmora. Yeah, I love Filmora. The problem is I bought a stupid refurbished HP computer a year and a half ago to live stream from, and it's perfect for live streaming. And I figured that's all I'd ever do on it, but it's not very good for editing. This computer is just slow and sloggy for anything other than live streaming. And so I think I'm going to build a PC, which I haven't done in a few years, but I think I can build one for a pretty good price, $800 or $900, that will do all of the editing I need to do. So, gradually upgrade. I started with a single little shitty monitor here in the middle, and then I upgraded, and now I have two really nice curved monitors, and eventually I'm going to have a third one over here. But right now, this is my recycled monitor on this side. So there's that. My microphone lifted up. It's now a Blue Yeti. It used to be just it was still a really big purchase at the time. It was an $80 podcast mic that I bought a year before I started podcasting. So you upgrade as you go along. But so Filmora, and we talked about StreamYard earlier. There's nothing, you could not, I don't know. I don't think you could convince me to use any other program right now other than StreamYard, because it's so dead simple and they just keep adding and adding and adding features that absolutely work. I know your Joe says, I've decided to go with DaVinci Resolve, free version and a paid upgrade available. It is not subscription based. One-time fee for advanced version. Basic version is very complete. I really wish that companies would offer a purchase as opposed to a subscription based. It really drives me nuts, especially growing up in the 90s and 2000s when subscription software wasn't a thing. But there is what it is, right? LumaFusion for Nate says they use LumaFusion for their iPad. I used Luma for a while and I liked it. And he said DaVinci come out on iPad. And Nate says we use a laptop with a 24-inch monitor as our screen share when I live stream the radio stuff. So it's all about figuring out what works for you. I did a lot of how do I put it? Higher end stuff tonight. I don't want you to think you have to spend a lot of money on any of this, because it all starts with whatever you have and whatever you can make do. You start making content and then you see where it goes from there. I originally just used, I didn't even have a tripod. It was just this stupid iPhone. I leaned it up against a wall and I talked into that microphone. And you know what? It worked to get me started. Because once you get started, you kind of create momentum and you keep going. Then I bought a shotgun mic that didn't work. And then I bought, it was a fine lapel mic that I had to get an adapter to plug into my iPhone. And it didn't work. But it wasn't because it didn't work. It's because my garage door opener was interfering. You've heard that story. So then I finally figured it out. And then I went to that. So I used that for well over 2 years. And I finally decided that it was time to upgrade that. And so I went to a wireless Rode Wireless Go 2. And it is, I love it. I made a mistake buying it because I bought the individual one that is only good for one person, or you hold it between two people. I thought I could upgrade. You can't. So I don't know what I'm going to do there. But, so there is that. I finally had to upgrade my tripod this year. It was still only a $40 tripod I bought, but I broke my old, I don't know, was it $8 or $18? I can't remember. But Letty Lou says, the subscription for Microsoft Office killed me when I got a new laptop. I've been using Becky's Office 365 that she has through her college. She's taken her course in, and I hate it. It's awful. The only reason I've been using it is my open office is broken and it just randomly crashes. Could I fix that? I probably could. But I really, I do not like the web-based Microsoft Office. It's awful. Moonbear, you are right. Subscriptions are like HOAs. Nobody ain't got no time for that shit. So anyway, yeah. Those were the updates for the hardware this year, but you don't have to start there. Here's the thing. You just need to start. Start with anything, start with everything, start with nothing. The key is to start creating, and go from there, because most people, I was listening to a lawyer today, a lawyer video I was playing in the background, and it was something about, it caught my attention because the title was, can I use voice clips in my podcast intro? And I thought, I do that. Never thought about it. And it was a typical lawyer response. It said, it depends. And it depends on your risk tolerance. That's really, I don't, sorry, I love you, Matt, and I'm sure you're not this way, but every lawyer I've ever talked to, their answers are always, it depends, and it depends on what your risk tolerance is. And I can't tell you if it's legal or not. Anyway, I'm done. But anyway, so this guy, same thing he said. And I thought, But the question was, I'm getting ready to start my podcast, and I'm stuck because I want to make a really good intro. And I've been so worried that somebody's going to sue me if I use clips from well-known celebrities. It was like 1 to 3 second sound bites from people. And this guy wasn't creating his podcast because of that, because of some pie in the sky idea that somebody's going to hear his shitty little podcast that nobody's listening to, not even his mother, and they're going to sue him and take everything he has. Instead of that, he sat around waiting for that and never created his podcast up until that point. You know what I would have done? I would have said, create something else, then look into it as you're creating. Because if that is the thing you're worried about, you're never going to create. And that's what it comes down to, is that, there's two things. Number one, the person never, ever does anything. They never start. Or number two, they don't find the consistency they need and they get burned out eventually. So there's that. Nate, John Willis's podcasting setup's incredible. He has really good audio. I would love to spend some more time and get a little board, run this podcast mic through a board and warm up my audio just a little bit more. But I'm really cool with what I have now. I'm pretty happy with it. But yeah, John has some serious sounding audio. I love it. And know your Joe. I'm going to kick you in the ass. I need to start with 3 dots after it. What I want you to do is pull them 3 dots off and put a fucking exclamation point there, because that's all it is. You just need to start. Becky started, and I've been a bad husband, and I haven't promoted her podcast yet. So tomorrow I'm going to share her podcast all across social media, because she did exactly what I told everybody else to do. Make sure you have at least 3 episodes and then promote the hell out of it. And she's got 4 now, and I'm really friggin' proud of her, and they're good. I don't want to promote her too much, but I'm just kidding. Letty Lou loves to hear Nate and Aaron's girls, right? I love that. Yes, do it, Joe. We love to hear you. Before you know it, you'll be at 50 episodes. Remember, I believe it's 21. If you listen to my SRF presentation, I believe it was 21. If you do more than 21 episodes, you'll be in the top 1% of all podcasts of all time or something like that. So simple as that. If you can do that, if you can stick with it for 4 weeks, you're all set. And Darkwing Dave says, reminds me of the line from Marvel, Shang-Chi, aim at nothing, hit nothing. Yep, do nothing, get nothing, accomplish nothing, look back and say, well, shit, I did nothing. And that's what it comes down to. Start moving your feet and you'll get something done. And the thing is, figure out why you want to do it, but just start something. And that's the key for almost everybody when it comes down to content creation, when it comes down to business, when it comes down to relationships. I was scared to death of women for a lot of years. Thank God Becky took the first step, because I'd probably still have been frozen my spot. But it's because I never took the step. A lot of times if you start with that single step or 2 steps, you get going, you might do something. You will do something. That's the cool thing. And once you get started, It's a lot easier to keep an object in motion moving than it is to start an object from rest. Ask me, because when I'm sitting down at the end of the day, Becky ain't getting me up to do nothing. Well, that's not completely true, but I want to hear back from you, Joe. I'm going to challenge you and say, simple as that, man. Replace those 3 dots with an exclamation point, and I want to hear about the great thing you did. And if you get 3 episodes done, I'll tell you, just like I told Matt, the lawyer, when you get 3 episodes recorded, I will promote it for you. I'll share it around on social media, because once you've got 3, you're committed, and then you start. So, anybody else got any questions out there? I'm not going to cover the rest of my notes for tonight. We'll, next Thursday, want to do another one of these? I think we will, because there's enough in just the tips alone that we can cover. Also, I forced myself to not do Saturday shows this summer, and I'm really enjoying it. I love having the entire, so here's my, oh yes, thank you, Joe. So here's my thing. When I have a show, I still do shit in the day, but the problem is I always think about my show coming up in the evening, because it's always on my mind, right? So what's cool about not doing the Saturday show is I get to spend more time with Becky, but it helps me get more shit done too, because my mind isn't on creating content this evening. Yeah, I know. Poor Tim, right? No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, so I appreciate you guys not giving me shit for not doing a Saturday show, because it's really helped my summer. Now, another roundabout way to say I miss my Saturday show, and it's more of a struggle to get the ideas that are absolutely passionate on my brain into the show right now, because we're only doing 3 a week. So there's that. But in the fall, I've got lots. But the cool thing is what Nate says, it must be nice. Yeah, brother, it's nice. It sure is. But the cool thing is that whatever you get on Thursday nights, is going to be fire, because I got to squeak this shit in on a Thursday night, because it's really the only night of the week that I'm going to get you a show like this. And I love doing them. It's fun. I love doing all my shows, but it is what it is. So, yeah, here it is. Know Your Joe wants to know about vidIQ. I messed with vidIQ just a little bit. And for those who want to know, it's very similar to TubeBuddy. It kind of fills the same niche as TubeBuddy. I haven't used it yet. From what I understand, the free features in vidIQ are better than the free features in TubeBuddy. And vidIQ is a little bit better. It gives you more insight into statistics for other people's channels. And yeah, I like it. I probably will dig into it a little bit more, maybe this winter. Letty Lou says, get that list of show topics for fall then. Absolutely. And you know what else? Tonight, here's another way that how do I want to put this? Here's another way that I function stack. So tonight, in my mind, you guys know how stand-up comedians, they practice jokes, or they do a test run on things before they see where it ends up going or whatever. Now, I don't know if you remember, but I did that episode on the poverty mindset, and it was a huge hit with a lot of people. And it was kind of a test run, and I realized, holy shit, I'm really excited about this. And so I turned around and turned it into a presentation for LFTN, and that was straight fire as well. So tonight was a bit of a test run, because I've been kind of toying with a couple of different ideas for SRF, and I don't know if this will turn into my SRF presentation. It may be a spiritual successor to it, but yeah, so tonight was definitely a test run for a possibility of maybe my presentation at Self-Reliance Festival. I don't know. Last year was content to currency. This year, Know Your Joe. Geez, I just accept that everybody know. I apologize. See, I did a bad job of promoting. Self-Reliance Festival, SRF, is in Camden, Tennessee at John Willis's Special Operations Equipment Compound. I believe it's the second full weekend in October. There's going to be a ton of cool creators there. Of course, Nicole from Living Free in Tennessee, John from Special Operations Equipment, myself will be there, Joel Salatin, John Pugliano from Investable Wealth, Joel Riles, our sponsor from Fortress Canine. It's 2 full days of getting your ass kicked. No, I'm just kidding. It's 2 full days of going out and finding your tribe, and it's cheap. It's like, $90 for the ticket. There's speakers all day. There's vendors there, people from, the agorist market that we all love, like Evan from Radio Done Free. He'll be there. I cannot wait. I'm excited. I've got 2 ideas that are beating around in my head. I have another idea for another thing I'd love to do in conjunction with it. I just have to figure out how many things we're going to do while we're down there. Becky's coming. She's going to be doing a round table, some sort of round table with a couple other female entrepreneurs, which I'm stoked about. I can't believe that Nicole talked her into that. She's excited for it. It's going to be a good time. So anyway, I will start promoting that soon, but not yet. So yeah, there is that. Yeah, Nate wants some ham radio. You know what? You know what I did last night? I laid in bed and I played with my shortwave radio. You thought I was going somewhere else, didn't you? Oh yeah, Letty Lou says they're $75 through August 1st. I mean, what can you get for $75? I'm just going to put it out there. I believe it was last week I ran the Self-Reliance Festival live stream. Maybe it was 2 weeks ago. And there was a person in there who said, I'd love to go, but I can't afford it. And I was thinking, well, I'm going to call them out on this. And because number one, 75 can be a lot of money for some people. And I get that totally. But I told the person, I said, here's the deal. If you'll run my table for half a day, I will pay your entrance to Self-Reliance Festival. And I said, all you have to do is reach out to me. That was 2 weeks ago. I haven't heard from them. So people make excuses for making excuses. And I get it. And I'm not slamming anybody, but I'm just saying that's what I offered. Try to remove the excuse and people will find another excuse. So remove your 3 dots, put an exclamation point, take 2 steps, start making your fucking content and get out there and get it going. So guys, I love you. I love episodes like this. I appreciate the fact that you're willing to come and hang out with me. And to be the bearer of bad news, tonight is going to be shorter than last night because last night was the longest day of daylight in 2023. So we're on the downhill slope now, guys. I appreciate your love, Haas. I appreciate you all out there. And as always, stay happy, stay healthy, and have a great week.